these verses over your life, I encourage you to start today. Yeah, there it's a powerful prayer. It's even a dangerous prayer if you wanna if you ask me. But in Psalms 139, this is this is where that that shift happened for me, where I don't have to get my stuff together to come to him, that I can absolutely rely on him even to search my heart. I don't have to search my heart before I go to him. I already know if something's wrong. See, I already know if something's wrong. Sometimes I don't even know what's wrong. Sometimes I don't even know what's wrong. And that in the word, it says, tell him everything, then peace in Philippians 4. But you have to allow him in to be able to trust him to tell him everything. And this is where that starts. In Psalms 139, this is what it says: God, I invite your searching gaze into my heart. And I do, Lord. I do. And I encourage those who are listening and watching to do the same. Examine me through and through, find out everything that may be hidden within me. Put me to the test and sift through all my anxious cares, Lord. I don't even know exactly what my anxious cares were yesterday, and I trust that you will tell me. I trust that you will tell me um, where my faith um, wavered yesterday. See if there's any path of pain I'm walking on and lead me back to your glorious everlasting ways, the path that brings me back to you. I'm going to repeat that again. I need y'all to hear this. See if there's any path I'm walking on, path of pain I'm walking on. You, Lord, you examine my heart. You tell me if there's any path of pain I'm walking on. I don't have to tell you. I don't have to get myself right. I don't even have to take myself off the path of pain. You will show that to me and lead me back to your glorious everlasting ways, the path that brings me back to you. Um, Lord, I offer myself as a living sacrifice. Your will, not mine, be done. Your will, not ours, be done. Your will, not mine, be done. Let us be like putty in your hands, where obedience, surrender, and submission are acts of worship and done out of love and not out of religious obligation. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about walking on purpose with purpose. I just want to make sure everybody's here. Hi. Are we good? Monday morning? We good? It's early where Melissa's at. I think she's still watching. I see Terry. Hello, Terry. If Terry's watching, it feels weird. Everything's weird right now. Walking on purpose with purpose. So, we talk about that path of pain. Well, sometimes he puts us on pain, or not pain. He puts us on paths that are not what we're used to. And that's the beauty of the adventure, but the adventure sometimes feels so not comfortable. And I think it's funny too that, and I don't think it's funny, it's all on purpose, but um it is kind of funny though. God, like, I stay ignorant, y'all, in a lot of different things until God's like, okay, we can look at it now. And I guess that's just my personality. But and thing is I'm learning too that ignorance is sometimes bliss for me, because if I knew the rooms he would put me in or the people he would introduce me to just walking out my purpose, or the things that would happen by pressing live, because a lot of these things were put in motion by my obedience last year. And I know that my obedience this year is tied to this too. It just feels that dopamine. And I've talked about it time and time again in starting this up again. The dopamine is just not there. And so that rush of adrenaline, that rush of new and exciting and joy, um, that rush that I've just pushed past something that was a block, it is not there. There's another block there. I'm not exactly sure, but he's going to tell me. I know that, like, I can trust him in that. Like, there's purpose in this too, and he's going to use it for his good, his glory, my good too, my good. And I pray that he does it, like, he uses the blocks that I find, um, in my life too, to help others push past. There's so many people I get on calls with that I can absolutely, and this is a gift that he's given me, but I can absolutely see that they have such a calling on their life. See, the people that get on calls with me are not ones that are like, they're not sitting in complacency, or if they are, they feel really uncomfortable. They're not in a position of well, living a corporate led life. Like, these are, I get on calls with like entrepreneurs and ones that have been called to from adversity to advocacy. And if they haven't answered the call yet, I'm part of this a stepping stone. I'm part of the well, from plowing to harvest. I'm part of that crew somewhere in this person's life of getting them from, God's like plowing the field and loosening up the dirt. Let's look at the heart issues. Like, he's like, cultivating that fleshly heart in their life up to this harvest of this person's from adversity to advocacy, and I'm part of that crew, and it's a really cool place to be. For me, not everybody's called to this type of thing, but it's a really cool place to be. And what is so hard is when you're like, just do the thing, and they're like, well, what is the thing? And I'm like, well, what is God telling you the thing is? They want the answer right then and there, and I'm like, "But you have to learn how to discern the voice of God, right?" So that's why we're looking at this. But in order to walk on purpose, with purpose, you have to discern the voice of God in your own life, and you can come to other people, and people will speak into your life. It's up to you to do the walking. See, somebody can't drag you behind them. They can offer a hand up, right? They can offer a hand to hold even, as you walk the same path for a while, but usually that breaks off, and we go our separate ways. Or if we're meant to walk together through life, that's another thing. And that's another, that too right there is like the thought of walking through life with another person other than my husband at this point. Just I'm having a hard time understanding friendship and relationship in that. And I'm so happy that, like, I can actually voice that and not feel weird. I can voice that and not feel weird. I don't know if everybody feels the same about friendship and relationship. What I don't understand, why some people, it's so easy for them. And maybe it's just me judging from the outside that it's easy, but friendship and relationships and things like that, it's so easy for some. And for me, it's not. Anyone else? And so I don't know what walking this path together looks like other than with my husband. And maybe that's part of, so sorry, part of my path. I don't know. I don't know. I would love to have community and friendship like that. I mean, y'all, I named my company the Soul Sister Project. It's a desire of mine, yet it feels so elusive. Why? I don't know. Walking on purpose with purpose. I really, really loved this thought that came up today. And it's stepping fully into your God-given purpose. Often comes with sacrifice, right? Pushback and internal struggles. Huh. Could this be just one more layer of pushing past that, right? That block to get where he's calling me to. Yes, absolutely. It absolutely could. in April, I'm going to Arkansas with Eric, my husband. I'm going to Arkansas with Eric, and then and I'm a part of that Scale with Stability Summit. And the me that's sitting here right now is not going to be the me that goes to Arkansas. And I can feel that God is trying to get through to me to be able to be like to accelerate into that person that he needs me to be in the room in Arkansas. And it doesn't come without pushback and internal struggle. I've talked to y'all time and time again about this fear that I have had of public speaking, of pushing live, of being seen. I don't think people think I'm being real about it, but I am. And because I've come out of agreement with that doesn't mean that see the Scale with Stability Summit. Yeah, I'm not feeling this like catch in my I can't breathe kind of catch in my lungs considering where I'm going. That's not the fear. It's the who am I to walk into that room? And I get that, I'm a child of God, there's favor on me, but why me, God? And I'm just and oh gosh, how many times have we done this? Even Jeremiah did it. It's in Jeremiah. I want to say Jeremiah chapter 1. But who am I, God, like to do this? Why are you I am a farmer's wife. I'm literally sitting in the middle of a cotton field right now, in the middle of nowhere, Texas. I barely ever go into public anymore. Like I'm telling y'all, there's real after effects of having a mental breakdown. Okay. There's real after effects of it. And I have a really hard time going into public. I can sit here all day, every day. I can focus on the ones that are on Zooms with me. I can um, do really well in my controlled environment, but you get me out in public and I am a different person than I've ever been in my life. And that same thing goes with Scale with Stability. And he's like, I need to heal you in ways that you don't understand. And I'm getting pushback from going live. And the only thing that I know that um to do is to heal out loud because the silence almost killed me. But yet I still struggle with healing out loud. Walking with purpose, on purpose, walking on purpose, with purpose, on purpose, with purpose. Sometimes you have to choose you, and it's not necessarily the other. But see, when we um when we start walking on purpose, with purpose, yes, sacrifice, pushback, internal struggles, and there may be fears of inadequacy, societal pressure, exhaustion of carrying past wounds. Anyone else? I mean, I can raise my hand on all three of those. Yeah, as Jesus shows us. Y'all, Jesus shows us in the Gospels. Have you read them? He shows us. It doesn't matter if somebody has told you about Jesus. Have you met Jesus in a real way through reading the word? Because I can guarantee you it opened up a whole other Jesus to me when I started reading the Gospels instead of just relying on what I've been told. And Jesus shows us purpose is not meant to be easy. When I read the Gospels, I can s I like, it's like, it comes to life in my head, but, I've talked about this, I'm a visionary. So when I say, like, feeling, seeing, things like that, like, I have s it's amazing how, much more of a imagination I have. Like, I live more in my imagination than I do in the real world. And I'm okay with that. So when I do go into society, it's like, ah, I have to pay attention to my surroundings. And in my own home, it's really nice to, we've cultivated a pretty decent environment in this home, and I get to just be. Um, I don't know if anyone understands that. So, anyways, but Jesus shows us purpose is not meant to be easy. It's meant to be fulfilling and eternal. See, he didn't you know, Eric and I were talking about this. Jesus literally was he was above space and time. Have you read the Gospels, y'all? Jesus disappeared miraculously from crowds that wanted to kill him time and time again until he knew it was time for that. On purpose, with purpose. He used his powers to escape these men and their rage and their hate of him. He used his powers to do that until it was time to surrender to his purpose. He understands purpose is not meant to be easy. It's meant to be fulfilling and eternal. I'm so thankful I'm not him because I struggle just opening up. I struggle with just talking. I struggle with knowing that I'm worth getting to know and love. I struggle with those things. Jesus knew he was fully known and fully loved, but not by man. We do all these things for validation, and God's like, look to me for your validation. And that is so hard. So there was a couple, I mean, there's several things, but I think, and we could probably break this down all week long, but I really wanted to really look at this. Okay. So we always look at like purpose, calling, heavy, kind of thing. Listen to this, okay? So in Matthew 16:24, and this one is the one that is quoted all the time. Then Jesus said to his disciples, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. Must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. You do realize taking up the cross, like, has anyone ever really thought about the symbolism, the picture, the what Jesus was showing us when he was carrying his cross? Because it just clicked for me today. And it wouldn't have clicked if there wasn't something that happened a week or two ago where I was like, oh, that right there. See, in my line of work, and I talk about content and I talk about sharing your story, and there's so many things I talk about. I have a whole ecosystem behind me in my business that doesn't just revolve around social media, but with social media, consistency is key. But there's a lot of different ways in your business, right? If you're going to be a thought leader or adversity to advocacy, like kind of coach, things like that, that consistency is like crucial, but you have to have a commitment before you're consistent, right? And in commitment, that I always looked at that as something that was very like obligatory and something that I had to fulfill. I had to fulfill. But in the Hebrew, did you know commit yourself to the Lord? Do you know what commit means? It means to roll onto in Hebrew. It means to roll that burden, that weight, that onto someone else, which it's like an accountability partner. That's what we like to look at, call them, right? But see, God says, let me bear that weight, that responsibility, that commitment is means to roll onto and to trust that he will bear the weight with you. My yoke is easy, my burden is light. Take up the cross and follow me. Take up your cross and follow me. Take up their cross and follow me. Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross and follow me. There's sacrifice in that. But y'all, even Jesus had somebody bear the weight with him. in his human form. See, Simon helped helped take up his cross. It was never meant for us to bear all the weight. It was never meant for us to bear all the weight of commitment even. So in the biblical sense for take up, okay, that's arrow. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it can be used by lifting the burdens to give them to another. So in John, it's the same word in John 129 in that verse. So take up their cross and follow me. For take up, it's the same word in John 129 where it says, "Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world." You were never meant to bear the burden of that cross. It's like he's telling them, yes, you must deny them yourself. And sometimes it's going to feel heavy, but remember who I am, right? Follow me. Take up your cross and follow me. But in all of these things, he's like giving us pictures and symbolism, and you have to know the word to understand because see, for me, it was like, take up their cross and follow. I'm sitting here and I've read these verses. I've heard them my entire life probably, and it always felt so heavy and like, oh, I've got to follow Jesus, and this cross is so heavy. But in Matthew, it says, my yoke is easy, my burden is light, and in John, it says he takes away the sin of the world. Like I don't even know, y'all. There's just a lot of in the Hebrew concept of commitment is rolling the burden, right? Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act. It means it literally, like in the literal sense, means to roll onto. It means rolling the burden onto him. He's like, yeah, deny yourself, take up the cross and follow me, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be carrying the cross by yourself. I'm right there with you, doing the work with you. Just roll the burden onto me. Of course, he'd be telling me this today, you know? Jesus never said, carry the cross by yourself. He modeled reliance on the Father at every step. And then, yeah, Simon, he was pulled in to help Jesus carry his cross. And that showed that even the Son of God allowed others to bear the weight alongside him. It wasn't, he allowed that. He allowed Simon to help him in a time of need. If that's not being human, I don't know what is. You think that Jesus was above all of it, but he wasn't. He had a human experience with human emotions. And when I look at the human condition, that's what I kind of started with this. When I look at the human condition, it gives me so much hope for me and my burdens, I guess, if you want to call it, but like the ways I struggle, the way that I show up as human, and that I still am human and I can't really do the flippant Christianese thing. Jesus looked messy and human to the Pharisees. What we think of as perfection and showing up complete, it's not necessarily showing up not complete, but showing up in a way that gets accolades, attention, things like that. A lot of the times is self-serving and not others focused. Um, a lot of the times it's self-serving and not the audience of one focused. And those are the kind of things that keep us from actually making the commitment to show up anyway. And that right there is probably what I keep like I'm pushing into that He's gotten past the fear of doing it, and now it's like, oh, even the last year, like, I showed up imperfectly last year, but this year it's like, do I still have to be messy? Like, can I not get past the messy human condition? And he's like, no. And that's the struggle for me. I hope this is resonating with someone today. So here's the thing, commitment to purpose does not mean exhaustion. Instead, it's rolling the burden onto him and trusting that he will sustain us. He's there to carry the cross with us, that he is there guiding our steps. It says it time and time again. I say it all the time too in our prayers before and after this, and I still struggle. I still struggle. So if you're struggling today, it's okay. What is it that you can roll onto him today, right now, in this moment? And if you pick it up again, if you try to bear the weight again, that's okay. Roll it back onto him. He's not asking for perfection, he's asking for relationship. And I know, like, even in my relationship with Eric, there are patterns in my life that I revert back to, even in my marriage, even as we walk out this healing, that I have to ask for forgiveness, or I have to go back to the beginning sometimes, where it's like, I know that I know, yet here I am again, having to do, having to be humble, having to ask for forgiveness, having to take a breath before I say something mean, you know? I don't even know. He's asking for relationship. What would surrendering your purpose, because that's really what this is walking on purpose with purpose, and we've put so much emphasis on purpose and us doing it. What would it look like to surrender it? Not knowing the outcome or anything, just surrendering it. If you fully trusted that God has already prepared the way, and he's also going to help carry the weight. Jesus' invitation is not to bear unbearable weight. It is to commit or roll onto our purpose onto God, trusting that he will sustain us as we walk in purpose. We show up in obedience, not in our own strength, but in his. Purpose is not about struggling under the weight. It's about trusting the one who carries it. Not even just carries it, carries us. He sustains us. Oh, let me remind you who my Jesus is. Sorry for the ones in Substack. I still, yeah, y'all are just gonna have to see the picture in the side there. Okay. Lord, thank you for this time together. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your filling, Lord, the filling up and showing up every single time. Um, thank you. In Psalms 32, 8 and 9, I hear the Lord saying, I will stay close to you, instructing and guiding you along the pathway for your life. I will advise you along the way and lead you forth with my eyes as your guide. So don't make it difficult. Don't be stubborn when I take you where you've not been before. Don't make me, oh my gosh. Do not make me tug you and pull you along. Just come with me. Love y'all. See you tomorrow.